Rabindranath, are you ready for this?
What?
The wisdom of the sages trainings that are going on.
Where?
At the Eco Village, the Govardhan Eco Village in India.
Why?
To totally transform your life spiritually.
Who?
You, me. Rabindranath Swami's going to be there. Other great teachers are going to be there. Lots of cool people.
How?
You go to wisdomofthesages.com/events. You find all the information there.
Haribo.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Come on!
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Rabindranath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday's study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. It is Tuesday, right?
It is.
Yes.
Okay, good. Just clarify. It's weird when we take a day off. What do you do when Wisdom of the Sages takes a day off? We just walk around the streets like zombie committing sins.
Committing sins. What's that evil laugh?
Didn't say anything today. He wants to take a vacation. I'm going to take a vacation. Look what Mara brought me in my welcome back goodie bag.
She's been providing all kinds of dried fruits.
She sometimes comes over, brings a bunch of goodies.
Yeah.
Mara, how are you, Mara? You got some good announcements for us?
I do have some good announcements for you.
Only accepting good ones, please.
Great. I got good news. There's an asana class, a new asana class with Josh Kane for Patreon members today at 5 p.m.
Josh Kane's great. If you're on Patreon,
great.
He's a great guy.
Yeah. And also there's a Bhakti recovery group meeting today. The men meet at 1 and the women meet at 2.
Say it, Kaustubha.
I'm not going to say it. Just keep
Just
moving.
say it. Just say it.
Moving.
Keep it separated.
What? Now he laughs.
It's so stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to Northern California, everybody. The Wisdom of the Sages crew is packing up, and we're heading to Northern California, going to hang out with our peeps, Jai Shri Triolo and Ram Das from Mandala, and Karnamrita, one of my favorite singers in the world.
Badahari
Prabhu. Great soul. And that's the 25th, the 22nd through the 25th. Go to mandala.org, sign up for Chant Camp. Yoga,
camp
prashad.
out there together, right?
Camp.
I mean, you get a cabin if you want, but you can also kind of camp it too.
Yeah, you going to camp or cabin?
Cabin.
We're just going to be straightforward. We're going to take the cabin. Bhakti Recovery Retreat. It's going to happen with our good friend Jivaji Life Coaching at Super Soul Farm, the 4th through the 7th. And of course, the Wisdom of the Sages retreat happens right after that. You can go to both back to back. Wind up your year with us, or start your new year in India for our 300-hour Bhakti cultural immersion. That goes the whole month pretty much. And then we have Wisdom of the Sages retreat. And before that, we're going to have our Kirtan school. Sign up for any or all. And you go to wisdomofthesages.com and you click on a magical tab that I can't remember. I think it's events. Yeah. Thank you. See you in January. All right. We got a new week and we got a new great thinker.
Oh, yeah.
Want to say something about Goethe? Mara?
Yeah.
What do you?
A German poet, playwright, novelist, scientist, statesman, theater director, and critic. His works include.
He was one of those
letters.
master of all trades,
Yeah.
and was a master of all trades.
Just like that. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good bio.
Yeah.
Guys are like astronomers, gentlemen farmers. He was a huge influence on Rudolf Steiner, who started the Waldorf school.
And your kids went to a Waldorf
Steiner school, and they like worship Goethe. They even have a. I'm serious. They have
no, it's just a name. How
they have a Goetheum.
We got to settle on something.
They have a Goetheum somewhere in Weimar or somewhere in Germany. a Goetheum, like a big place dedicated to him and his teachings. He had a fall
they
down.
say-
good things
He
to
had a
say.
fall down. You know that, right?
No, I didn't know that.
There's something slightly shameful. In the end of his life, he
Maybe there wasn't a Wisdom of the
fell in-
Sages podcast that
fell in
day.
love with an 18-year-old or 17-year-old or something.
Okay.
So even with all that knowledge, it shows Maya's tricky. Maya's tricky.
Very tricky.
But let's go.
You're
into
going
our
to say something,
quote.
Mary?
I was just going to say that they say he was the most influential German writer.
The most influential German writer. When did he live?
1750 to 18 something.
18 something.
Are his
Yeah.
books popular in the English
Like
language?
Faust. He wrote
Faust.
Faust.
Yeah. 1832 he passed away.
Okay.
The Faustian bargain of your soul.
Okay.
Kostova.
All right, let's hear his nugget for today.
All right, today's nugget. Mr. Goethe. Where's my nug?
Johann Wolfgang von.
Von Wolfgang. It's a. Oh, I was reading your nugget. It is not doing the things we like to do, but liking the things we have to do that makes life blessed.
Boom. All right, I like it.
Not doing the things we like to do, but liking the things we have to do.
Read
that
it
makes
again.
our own life blessed.
Oh, you just did. Okay.
I just did, yeah. So there, there's this obvious connection between duty and character, and duty and happiness, as opposed to doing whatever you want to do. That's what we sort of created now. Do whatever feels good. Feels good, do it. No.
Yeah. No, we're talking a formula here, right? He's saying blessed. You know, it's interesting, and I shared this with you not so long ago, but I was doing a little biblical research at one point.
Were you?
Yeah, I was looking into that verse that it is more blessed to give than it is to receive. Right? It's more blessed. That's Paul to the Corinthians, and now you can throw out your question. Go ahead. 1 or 2, right? That's
Corinthians 1 or Corinthians 2.
So in any case, when I looked into that, I found that the word blessed, the word that's translated in English is blessed. In the original Greek, it implies happiness, right? So one might better translate that verse as like one is blessed with happiness more. One who gives is. One is blessed more with happiness through giving than through receiving. Let's put it that way, okay?
Okay.
So here he's saying, that what makes one's life blessed. I think we could look at this and say, what makes one's life happy as well? In other words, it's not.
It's a sublime type of happiness.
Well, yeah, it's more subtle. Yeah, for sure. In other words, the simplistic formula would seem to be like, well, I just need to do the things that I like to do. For instance. And then you can just, list the whole things that,
I like travel.
There you go. I like travel. Okay. Well, if I go traveling, then I'll be happy. Right.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Yeah. And actually not at all. It's almost like.
Not at all.
Not at all in the sense, like, in the deeper sense, it's kind of like, you
won't be happy at all if you travel. I just lost 3 more people on my pilgrimage. Thanks.
Well, you see, but that's not, it's not the, let me put it this way. Let's look at this from a yogic point of view, okay? It's a very interesting, when you get, and that's why books like the Gita and the Bhagavatam, they're not just like religious books that are putting out dogma that you're supposed to follow or otherwise you're sinful and you go to hell. They're books that like they get into analyzing the mind and how it works. It's not, sometimes these aren't really questions of morality. They're the questions of practicality, like we're talking about this weekend in terms of caffeine and all that. So what these texts are saying is that it'll break down the mind and it'll say that it has 3 different functions going on. And one of those functions is like impulsive. It's like there's programming in our mind to respond to things automatically. When different data comes through our senses, different things that we see or we hear, etc., it creates it programs a part of our mind to identify certain things as attractive or pleasurable or that they bring happiness. And that's like an instant kind of, response. I see that form, I want it, right? My mind has identified it as pleasure giving, or that it'll give happiness. And so then we move through life following that programming, kind of blind, like ignorant to the fact that like this is just it could have easily been programmed the other way. I'm just chasing these things because my mind has been programmed to identify them as happiness giving. So he's saying it's not in doing the things that we like to do that are going to make our life blessed or bring us happiness. He's saying that there's a meaning to life. There's a purpose to life. There's lessons that we're meant to learn, right? There's something here that we have a little mission in life. And so he's saying it's in liking the things that we have to do that makes life blessed. In other words, that temporary programming, that impulsive programming, we can reprogram it through the use of another part of the mind, the more reflective part of the mind, or the more rational part of the mind. The more rational part of the mind can identify, actually, there's a better way to live. Actually, I'm meant to learn something here. Actually, just following my senses doesn't lead to happy. It leads to temporary, impulsive kind of experiences of pleasure, but it doesn't lead to something deeper and more meaningful.
Even if you were born with this silver spoon in your mouth, like, parents are very, very wealthy. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. Sometimes having that feeling, it sort of doesn't put you on this duty-bound life. It can take you off that duty-bound track. Whereas sometimes when they're just like, even if you can have whatever you want, it's great to have a mission in this world that you feel like is helping me and helping the world, period. And that's the thing you want to wake up. That's the thing you're excited to wake up for. It's the big why on Monday morning. Well, yep, I'm ready for it. It's the duty. It's the duty that sort of inspires us.
And at a certain point, if we understand it right, it ceases to be like that we're doing it merely out of duty, but actually the mind becomes reprogrammed to find meaning and happiness in that duty. I wanted to pull something up because I got a message from our old friend Ashley the other day.
Ashley O'Hara or Rodriguez?
Ashley Rodriguez.
Yeah. They're both our friends.
They're both our friends, but Ashley Rodriguez, her whole family's been through so much. It was her husband that had this motorcycle accident, was in the hospital for a year, went through all these operations. Right as she was pregnant, she had a new baby. She had 3 kids to take care of. Her husband went through like 50 operations, I think, nearly a year in the hospital.
And she was dutiful.
She was very dutiful. And she wrote me recently when she was just saying, but even now it's finally he's back. He lost his leg. He's back home from the hospital, but still the struggles continue. It's like that was a really, really challenging time, but it's not like the challenging times go away. And she was sharing that, like they're different, like they just paid off their house. Now they own the house. And you're thinking like, oh, that's going to be wonderful when that day comes. We're going to celebrate and everything. And then you get to that point in life and it's still tough, and you had a picture in your mind. And anyway, she was really openly sharing with me some of the things that she was going through. And I appreciate her so much. And I didn't know what to tell her except, hang in there. But I shared this one quote, actually. So we can switch over.
From Shelter?
No, it wasn't from Shelter.
So-called Pleasures, a cessation of pain.
Okay, no, that wasn't what I was going with. I was going with Rabindranath Tagore.
Oh, okay.
Let us sit down and discuss the writings of Rabindranath ji. So Rabindranath Tagore wrote this. He said, let me find it. Okay. He said, I slept and I dreamt that life was joy. Have you heard this one before?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, boring. Typical.
Yeah, next
cliche. I dreamt. I slept and I dreamt that life was joy. I awoke and I saw that life was service. Okay. In other words, when we're unenlightened, we think, oh, let me just try to squeeze some pleasure out of life. We wake up and realize, no, there's dharma to do, right? There's service to do. But then this is the point here. I acted, and behold, service was joy.
Rabindranath.
Rabindranath, he got that one, So I think that's what Johann Wolfgang is getting at here, is that we could spend our life just chasing after the things that we think are pleasurable. Our life won't really be blessed that way. And just look about, you know, and you'll see that, you know, look around you. But
Almost
that
seems counterintuitive, doesn't it?
it's counterintuitive. That's the point. It's a counterintuitive formula. But if we actually find out what's meaningful, what will bring out the best in us, or what will transform us, it in the beginning it seems like, oh, that duty is distasteful. There's no happiness in it. But you begin to find that I'm actually designed to serve,
Right?
and then you find and then you find out what Rabindranath Tagore found out, that service was joy. Actually, it may take time. You may have to work at it, but gradually it starts to unveil itself.
Yep.
All right. That's our nugget for today. Johann Wolfgang, thank you for that.
Want to hear a crazy quote I found from Stonewall Jackson?
Stonewall Jackson, another Confederate general.
Just quoting the Confederates today. No, check out this. It's almost right out of the Bhagavad Gita. Duty is ours, consequences are God's.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Duty is ours.
Duty is ours.
Consequences are God's.
That's Bhagavad Gita. You have the right to perform your prescribed duty, but you're not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty.
Beautiful.
What do you do? What are you reading? Stonewall Jackson books here?
No,
military strategy. What are you planning in your
I know the
compound over there?
Confederate lost. At least I should pick the Union.
Yeah. It's heartbreaking how some of these men could, on the one hand, actually have a lot to share, and on the other hand, be fighting for such a horrible cause. That's the very mixed up world we live in, Rabindranath.
Yeah.
Okay. Shall we get into it?
Om Namo Bhagavate Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayat. Before citing the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayeshva Badreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Utamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome in the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Midatam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet.
Nice way to start our week one day late.
There may be a ghost in my house because the TV magically and mysteriously just went on.
That is
So
weird.
you take over from here.
What are you talking about? We can go try to find the ghost?
What's that?
Or you're going to just turn off the television?
I'm gonna turn off the television. I'm not gonna go wrestle a ghost right now.
Ghost busting? You come out with some kind of ritualistic paraphernalia.
Say something enlightening.
Well, we're starting a new chapter today. We spent a long time on the previous chapter, which was the meditation that was given by Lord Shiva to the prachetas. I keep forgetting. I should find out whether it's 9 or 10 of the prachetas. Do you know, Mara?
I don't know.
Okay, so these yogis, young men, they went off to spend 10,000 years in the water meditating on Lord Shiva's mantras. 10,000.
They must have been really prunish when they got out of that water.
They could do it without that. This is what Yogi Charu told me. He said he saw someone go under the water for 2 weeks, Raghunath, a yogi up in the Himalayas. He said he came out, he wasn't prunish at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Alrighty.
All right, well,
We'll learn those techniques.
But so now we're starting this new chapter. This new chapter is entitled, do you know, Raghunath?
Descriptions of the characteristics of King Puranjana.
This is going to start about 5 chapters or so on this story of King Puranjana. Now, this is the idea, Raghunath. You ready?
Tell me.
That the prachetas, they're going off. They're the princes. Like, they're going to be the next rulers. and they're going off to do long meditation so that when they come back, they're not just guys with power, but they're people with deep spiritual realization and insight.
Mm.
And so while they're away, their father, King Prachini Barhi, he's back in the palace, and he's caught up in the materialistic life of being a king. And Narada Muni, the great bhakti yogi, is going to float on in, and he's going to try to help him. He's going to see that there's no real happiness. It's almost like it's almost like what Johann Wolfgang was saying. It's not just doing the things that we like to do that make our lives blessed. So he was caught up in fruitive activity and in karmic entanglement, and sometimes when you're trying to tell someone something, trying to share something with someone, and they may be a little adverse to any kind of direct kind of confrontation.
Yeah.
He actually, the king will be like, instruct me, I need your help, but he's going to instruct him indirectly through an analogy or through like a story that's really about the king,
right?
But he's going to do it all through like allegorical. It's like an allegorical tale.
Another nice thing about Vedic teachings is when it's an allegory, they tell you this is an allegory.
This one's an allegory, very clearly.
And then when they don't tell you it's an allegory, it should be accepted this is real.
Then you have to stretch your imagination.
And I'm struggling a little today, Kastuba, if I may share. It's because I'm on this raw food diet, which I'm okay with and I'm appreciating. But then I got Nick over on Zoom. He's like got the bagel oven going and he's whipping out like big spatulas of bagels every 5 minutes. How am I supposed to deal with him?
It's not simply in eating the things that we want to eat that make a blessed life. It's in eating the things that we need. It's in liking the things we need to eat. That make
you got any raw foods there in that oven? You got a raw bagel? I'll eat the dough raw.
All right.
Okay.
So this is going to be the beginning of. We're not going to get to it today. I think we're just going to get the setup today. But as we continue this week and in the following weeks, we're going to hear this lengthy allegorical tale, which in everything represents something. Like I think he's going to be seduced by a woman, but that's going to represent his intelligence, like his
getting captured by any desire.
Yeah, it's his intelligence, that his materialistic intelligence seduces him. That's the idea. And then
seduced by a bagel.
All right. Anyway, let's get started.
The great sage Maitreya continues speaking to Vidura. So these are stories. This is basically a story spoken by Maitreya to Vidura up in the Himalayas. My dear Vidura, in the way Lord Shiva instructed the sons of King Barisat, the sons of the king also worshiped Lord Shiva with great devotion and respect. Finally, Lord Shiva became invisible to the princes.
Whoa.
All the Pracheta princes.
Just hold it. I can't believe you just zoomed right over that. They were seeing him. They saw him rise out of the water.
Yeah. Instructed them.
And then
they praised him. And then
he was gone.
Lord Shiva can do that. It just disappears.
Okay.
After he got him, they must have been like, did you see that? Was that incredible? Oh,
it was Lord Shiva.
He came out of the water. They disappeared.
Do you remember the prayer? Do you remember it? Yeah, I got it. Okay, let's go.
I forgot he instructed us. All the Pracheta princes simply stood in the water for 10,000 years and recited the prayers given to them by Lord Shiva.
Yeah, and that may sound outrageous, but Prabhupada
never want to hear you complaining about chanting your rounds, Mara, for 2 hours.
10,000 years.
10,000 years.
Prabhupada says this was not very astonishing. He says, Prabhupada was just saying, in the Satya Yuga, they could do this kind of thing. This was not very astonishing. Although such a feat is impossible in this age, it was quite possible in Satya Yuga. They had longer lives.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Okay.
While the princes were undergoing severe austerities in the water, their father was performing different types of fruitive activities.
Fruitive.
At this time, the great sage Narada, master and teacher of all spiritual life, became very compassionate upon the king and decided to instruct him about spiritual life.
All right, let's talk about this term fruitive activities, Rabindranath. What exactly does that mean?
You're working for stuff.
Okay.
You know, I'm going to get stuff in this world. I have a little less faith, and therefore I'm just going to work in this world and hoping that my work gives me stuff. And you know what? Sometimes you work and you get stuff. And sometimes you work and you still don't get enough stuff. You can't figure out why is he working and getting stuff, and I'm here stuffless, and I'm still working. So fruit of working for stuff.
Yeah, and you know when this is how Srila Prabhupada, the word karma is it's you can't really wrap it up in one English word, right?
One
But-
could be to work. Hmm?
Yeah, I mean, let's say it's most fundamentally the word karma means action, right? And then sometimes we'll say work with the implication that sometimes when we use the word karma, it's implying not just any type of action, but it's implying action that one does, particularly like dutiful action in this world, right? Like, what is my occupation or my job? It's that that becomes my karma. It also implies, because philosophically there's such a it was understood that there's such a that action brings reaction. So like I think in the Western lexicon, it's like when we say karma, most often we're speaking about the reaction to our actions.
Right. But it's actually a
Yes.
work. Who am I imitating?
Oh, so many people.
It's work that gives you another body.
That's one definition from that's the Bhagavad Gita's when Arjuna
Work
asks
that gives
Krishna,
you a material body.
So that's your reaction, right? That's the reaction to the work that you do. So
Mm.
it not only comes in like little spurts, but it also comes in this major form of like the next body that you get, right? So that also refers to karma. Now, when Prabhupada says fruitive activities, that's a translation of karma. Even that can be understood in two ways. It could be understood like in terms of what we call vikarma or karma, right? Vikarma means I'm pursuing the things of this world without any recognition, without following any like scriptural standards or codes of conduct. I'm just more or less on that animal level. I just pursue it blindly.
I'm doing whatever makes me happy.
That's right. As Johann Wolfgang would say, I'm just doing what I like to do.
Or Wolfie, as his friends called him.
We'll be calling him Wolfie this week.
It's easier to say than Gorka.
That's my point. I'm moving over to Johann Wolfgang because I find that easier to pronounce. But it could, when he says fruitive activities, he could also mean, and I believe what he means here in terms of this king, it means I'm pursuing materialistic benefits. I'm pursuing the things of this world according to the teachings of the four Vedas, with the faith that actually delivers more effectively, right? If I'm pious, if I'm good, if I do ritual that demonstrates my gratitude to the gods, then they provide the things of this world. They provide health, they provide wealth, they provide long life, they provide the rains for the crops, they provide the birth of healthy children. And as you were saying, in the future life, in the future birth, they provide elevation to the higher planets where there's greater levels of material pleasure.
And that's why we should all worship the demigods.
Well, you see, this is the point, is that actually certain texts will give you that idea. Bhagavatam's going to clarify that here. Bhagavatam's going to have Narada, who's this bhakti yogi. He's going to float on into this king seems to be performing pious activities. He's following the Vedas. Everything's going right. No, right? No. Narada's going to say there's more to life than this. Don't get confused by those earlier texts, which are helpful for people on a certain level. Take life further. Take it to the level of bhakti. That's where you really need to go. You're caught up. Actually, although you're doing these pious types of works, dharmic on one level types of works, there's a higher dharma that delivers a more meaningful life, a more deeper type of happiness, an eternal happiness. Why are you wasting your time this way? And look at you. You're not even happy. You're not you're still not.
Prayers are not meant for stuff. And this is this fruitive activity, even using metaphysical rituals or worshiping the demigods. Yeah. Please give me stuff.
That was what Bruce Lee was saying last week, right? He said that you don't turn to God for stuff. You turn to God for, what did he call it? For your inner theme.
Your inner theme. Yes.
The inner connection. Okay.
All right. Okay. Narada Muni asked King Prachinu Barhi, text 4. My dear king, what do you desire
by the way,
to
we should
achieve?
make some, but before we go further, just a moment ago, the king was called King Barhishat.
Oh, yeah.
And in this one, he's called King Prachina Barhishat. Sometimes he's going to be called King Prachina Barhi. All the same person.
All the same. Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
My dear king, what do you desire to achieve by performing these fruitive activities?
I don't think he asked like that.
I think he did. I think he
it
did.
had a more of a compassionate tone than a judgmental tone.
Okay. The chief aim of life is to get rid of all miseries and enjoy happiness. But these two things cannot be realized by fruitive activity.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a counterintuitive truth, right? Don't you
So
just pursue the things you want to find happiness?
Right.
No.
And here's what the king's going to think. Or
But
king's gonna say.
let's read a little of this commentary here, okay, Ragnar?
Of 4?
Yeah, I got some here. I set aside a little bit here.
Tell me.
In this Prabhupada writing, in the commentary to this verse, in this material world, there's a great illusion that covers real intelligence. Oh, okay. Well, we're getting some mystery of the universe revealed here. You ready, Ragnar?
Hit me.
In this material world, there is a great illusion which covers real intelligence. A person in the mode of passion, right? This is one of the influential energies in this world. It makes us want things that we don't have. A person in the mode of passion wants to work very hard to derive some benefit, but they do not know that time will never allow them to enjoy anything permanently. Compared with the work one expends, the gain is not so profitable.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it is profitable, it is not without distresses.
Mm-hmm.
If a person is not born rich and they want to purchase a house, cars, and other material things, they have to work hard day and night for many years in order to possess them. Thus, happiness is not attained without undergoing some distress. Mm-hmm. This is when you got to step back a little bit, Rabindranath, right? Step back, take a little look at life, right?
Yeah.
He's saying we need to think about this. He says, actually, pure happiness cannot be had in this material world. Okay, this was a postulate right here, right? In other words, the material happiness is always mixed. It doesn't come pure in the material realm. We're searching for pure happiness. We're not finding it. We're working hard. We're accepting distress to try to find happiness, right? We're bringing on, okay, I'll take on the distress so that I can find happiness. That's the formula, how it works here. Actually, pure happiness cannot be had within this material world. If we wish to enjoy something, we must suffer for something else. Mm-hmm. On the whole, suffering, now this is going to sound negative, Raghunath.
You and your negative spiritual.
It's not negative, it's positive.
Dogma.
It's
all right, let's hear.
Positive,
let's
but
hear.
It's going to
let's
sound
hear.
negative. On the whole, suffering is the nature of this material world, right? That's what Buddhism is entirely. It's based on this kind of. It's a fundamental
blame
truth.
the Buddhists. Blame the Buddhists.
Look at. I'm not blaming. I'm saying they agree, right?
No, I'm joking.
On the whole, suffering is the nature of this material world, and whatever enjoyment we are trying to achieve is simply illusion. It's there for one moment and then gone.
What I say is suffering is the nature of the material world. Therefore, make the bigger investment in your spiritual life.
Okay.
That's a positive spin to the same old, which could be read as negative.
Well, I mean, Prabhupada wasn't done. Okay, but he may go into more negative still. On the whole, suffering is the nature of this material world. And whatever enjoyment we are trying to achieve is simply illusion. After all, we have to suffer the miseries of birth, old age, disease, and death. Do you know that one, Raghunath? Janma.
Good morning, everybody.
Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi Dukkha Dosh Anudarshanam. Right? We need to be able to see darshanam, see the nature of this world. See that wherever you turn around, you're going to see birth, death, disease, and ultimately death.
Well, this is the thoughtful person who actually analyzes material existence. Yeah. If you're not so thoughtful, sometimes you get put into this great distress of the material world. And, this is like what an alcoholic would get to, or a drug addict. When they get to this point where like, I'm either going to kill myself or I'm going to die. This substance is going to kill me, or I'm going to recover. But if you're actually, you don't have to necessarily go that path to find God. You can actually just analyze life. And this is where philosophy comes in. It's just think about existence for the animals, for the humans, the nature of life. We get attached to things. We fall in love with things. We're forced to lose things. Even if things are going great, even if I find that soulmate, I'm going to have to lose that soulmate. So it's if you analyze life, there's a lot of pain and suffering there. And what the Bhagavatam encourages us to you got to invest in your material life. We get that. We're parents. We're a spouse. We're children of parents. We have duties in this world, but there's got to be a much greater investment, and not to overlook the real identity, what I am underneath my material obligations. There's a spiritual being, and the spiritual being's very birthright is joy, but it's of a spiritual nature. Our real joy comes from spiritual activity, not material activity. There's no material thing that can satisfy the soul.
Beautiful. Or you could even say it comes, I mean, the spiritual activity kind of grows out of it's just happiness is our spiritual nature underneath it all, right? And it manifests in spiritual activity. Yeah. But if we're not thinking deeply, we may look at the world and we may even come to the point, oh my God, there's a lot of suffering going on. Let's correct this world, right? Let me set up my world in such a way where I won't suffer. But that's still not the formula. The idea is like, it's kind of like saying, oh man, this prison is really a place of suffering. Let me fix the prison so that it's actually a place of enjoyment.
Right.
You know, you can do a little this and you can do a little that, but it's still going to be a place of
adjusting the prison.
Adjusting the prison. So what Prabhupada says is he says, we may discover many fine medicines, but it is not possible to stop the sufferings of disease or death. Right. So even if you can try to correct this world, you're still not going to be able to do it. Actually, medicine is not the counteracting agent for either disease or death. On the whole, there is no, I mean, that's like a bold statement, right? Saying,
it's like a what?
Well, it's bold and it may ruffle feathers and stuff, but see, actually, medicine's not the counteracting agent for either disease or death. It's not Prabhupada saying you got to just look at this equation in a whole nother way, right? Sometimes like people are puzzled over some kind of like puzzling idea, and then someone comes in with a whole new way of looking at it. And you're like, oh yeah, right. So Prabhupada's saying, try to look at this in a whole different way. That actually we are spirit. We're not these bodies. We can transcend this entire thing rather than trying to adjust it. So he says, on the whole, there is no happiness in this material world, but an illusion person works very hard for so-called happiness. Indeed, this process of working hard is actually taken for happiness. This is called illusion.
Wow. Because it's so mixed with so much hope to enjoy the fruits of my work.
Yeah. And then you get a little taste and you're like, oh, it's working. You know, there's more to come. And then something. That's why I was saying, like what Ashley was sharing.
Now that I'm thoroughly depressed.
But again, this is meant to turn us to the answer. You know, it's not like there's no answer given here. It's not nihilistic. Let's read on here. Therefore, Narada Muni asked King Prachinabarhishat what he desired to obtain by performing so many costly sacrifices, doing all of these rituals. Even if one attains a heavenly planet, they cannot avoid the distresses of birth, old age, disease, and death. Someone may argue that even so someone say, okay, well, maybe that's true, but even all you bhakti yogis, you undergo distresses, right? So he says, someone may argue that even devotees have to undergo many distresses in executing austerities and penances connected with devotional service. Of course, for the neophytes, the routine of devotional service may be very painful, right? I'm giving up this, I'm giving up that, I'm waking up early, I'm doing, all whatever it is, sacrificing different things. So for the neophyte, that might be, that might cause some distress, but at least they have the hope that they will ultimately be able to avoid all kinds of distresses and achieve the highest perfectional stage of happiness. So if I'm going to suffer, I may as well suffer in a progressive way, right? If I'm going to have to endure some kind of trouble in life, let me endure that trouble that leads to a far greater gain. So Narda's, he's dropping in. He's going to share what he has to share. He's going to say your strategy is not the most clearly thought out here. Let's try to help him.
Okay, let's hear what he says here. Well, here's the king. The king said, "Oh, great soul Narada, my intelligence is entangled, actually, due to these fruitive activities. Therefore, I do not know the ultimate goal of life. Kindly instruct me in pure knowledge, so that I can get out of the entanglement of fruitive activities."
Why don't you read the commentary to this one here? It's good that he can admit this, right? Like he's got some.
Yeah, he's not digging in his heels like everything's fine. What are you talking about? I'm the king. Yeah. Things are pretty good here. Things are pretty. Get out of here. Go fly away, Narada. Narottam Das Tagore says. So this is a song.
Narottam Das Tagore?
great poet, incredible songwriter.
Great teacher.
You know, better than the Doobie Brothers. He was like
Far
famous.
better. He was
Much
like,
better than the Doobie Brothers.
Much better than the Doobie Brothers.
He wrote Satsanga Chadi Kainu Asate Vilas Te Karani Lagila Ya Karma Banda Pancha. As long as a person is entangled in fruitive activities, he's bound to accept one body after another. This is called karma bandha pancha, entanglement in fruitive activities.
Okay.
It does not matter whether one is engaged in pious or impious activities.
Oh, because you can cultivate good karma or bad karma.
Yeah, you still get a body.
Good or bad reactions.
Yeah.
Okay.
For both are causes for further entanglement in material bodies. Interesting, huh?
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about being good. It's about being a transcendentalist. By pious activities.
It's even, let's go back to the prison thing, right? Like imagine you're in a prison that's like, like just one of the worst prisons,
Oh, yeah.
It's just like, every moment is like total suffering. And you're locked in that cage and you all kind of horrible prisons, or they throw you in that, what they call when they throw you in the hole,
the clink, the hole.
Yeah, like when you get solitary confinement and the food is just the worst and you're struggling to survive at every moment.
You ever wonder if you could do that? Just give me some japa beads and the Chaitanya Charitamrita and put me in solitary confinement.
Solitary would be tough, Rabindranath. That would be a real challenge. I mean, we can ask Kylie. She's gone on the Vipassana retreat. She's gone on the Vipassana retreat. Not jail.
She hasn't been in
prison. I'm not saying she's been in prison, but I'm saying being alone and not having anyone to talk to for like so long. It's.
You talking about Kylie, the one who met her soulmate in the Vipassana retreat?
That's right.
That Kylie.
That's the one.
Okay.
She's like, I'm never gonna leave this town. So in any case, and then imagine like you get switched to like a much more comfortable prison.
They have those too.
They do.
Higher end prisons.
Club
Fed, yes.
Yeah. But still, from the perspective of that prisoners might be like, oh, this is great. I'm so happy. What's going to happen? Life is going to be so much better. But from the perspective of the person that's like free, it's like, are you kidding me? You're still locked in a prison 24/7.
Sure.
Your life sucks, So that's what's happening here. And that's what probably some of these things may sound, saying even if you get good karma, that's bad. That's like saying even if you're in a good prison, that's bad.
Right.
You have so much potential for so much more freedom.
Isn't it interesting? If you really get down to the core of this philosophy is we're not even humans. We are so much higher than humans. The human body's limiting us.
The human body's very, very much limiting.
Yeah. Human body's sort of like a little prison.
Okay. So it does not matter whether one is engaged in pious or impious activities.
I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. By pious activities, one could take birth in a rich family and get a good education and a beautiful body. Okay. But this does not mean that the distresses of life are ultimately eliminated.
You're still in prison.
Still in prison. The 1% is still suffering. It's not like Mark Zuckerberg doesn't get stomach ache, trip down this flight of stairs, headache, migraines.
Sometimes you just see these, I watched this documentary on Michael Jordan. Did you see that one?
Did I? No, I didn't.
Yeah, you're not interested in it. But fascinating documentary, actually.
Yeah.
And he kind of appears as the guy that's got it all.
He does. If I was only like him, I'd be happy.
I mean, fame, money, respect, just so, able to just do the things that little kids are dreaming about doing when they're young. He was gifted to be able to do so many mind-blowing things on that court that even all those professional players who rose to just about the top couldn't do.
More than the Globetrotters? Because they were pretty good.
The Globetrotters are amazing.
No one even knows what we're talking about. We've become so old, Kostuva.
Yeah.
Only Tom Essig is like, yep.
Globetrotters was a thing, right?
Yeah. Okay, go on.
But in any case,
what did he do? Listen, I hate basketball.
What did he do?
What did he do? That's so great. Besides,
if you go to his college career, he hit the last shot at the final moment to win the championship. Then he came in, to the professionals, and he took a team that was nowhere, and he built it up, and then he just won every single year, just boom, 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 and there are all kinds of obstacles on that path that he overcame, and he overcame it in the most dynamic, way, that it was just blowing everyone's mind. And he became practically the most famous person in the world, like wherever he would go, like everyone knew that's Michael Jordan. He's incredible. He's heroic. And even like, that's, he had all of those like perfect sports moments, that like are only written about in stories. He actually lived them.
Mara, do you know anything about Michael Jordan?
No, I don't. Not really.
Me neither.
Well, now
okay.
you do. Now you do.
All right.
But this
Because
is
he was a real sports fan. You ever notice that?
I'm not that much of a sports fan.
You
but
are. You know all about baseball. You know all about basketball.
I know something about that. I grew up liking sports. But in any case, my point is this, is that he appeared to live the dream that so many people dream.
Okay, so what does the documentary reveal?
It reveals that he's not a happy person.
Oh, really? You think he would?
That competitive nature, which seems so attractive in him, right? Like we're attracted that person's like willing to take up the challenge and never says that this can't be done, and even like becomes the leader, But his leadership was like, it was powerful and effective in a certain way, but it also kind of broke so many relationships, And if anyone even challenged him, this is like one of the real common themes in the documentary, is that like sometimes another athlete, like on another team, will say, "Oh, I could beat him" or something like that, and he always says, "I took that personal." Like he takes everything personal, like, and now he's gonna go prove it, and then he does prove it. Like, someone says, "Oh yeah, we can beat Michael Jordan," and then he goes and like he embarrasses them on the court. He still doesn't become happy, and really,
I want to be his yoga teacher. I can help him.
I think you could, Rabindranath. And you see, actually, when he's talking, when people are interviewing him, like when he's being interviewed and they're saying, they're asking questions that are delving into those relationships, you see practically he's holding back the tears, and he's still trying to defend himself and like that how he behaved was right. But you can see the tears kind of welling up in his eyes, and you can see he's kind of trapped. He's trapped in this ego, of being number one, and even he got it. And he's still suffering so much internally. You can see there's such a struggle. So it's a fact. Like even, it's like he's in Club Fed, like he got all the material things, yet still he's not happy. He's still in prison. He's still trapped. He's not free,
I like that. I like this. You need to hear these stories. That's why we need to bring back VH1. Where are they now?
Oh, well,
remember that?
That's
that
another classic way of looking at it. I mean, that showed those things show the pattern, right? It was always the same thing.
Yeah.
It was always the same thing. We're in this band, we're trying to make it.
You had something. Everybody loved us. We were at the top, and now
we were struggling. But then
we were struggling.
Then we got a
our
break.
Bass player was a drug addict.
Everyone started to like us. Then we got the big break, and then we got everything we wanted. We got the fame, we got the money, we got the women, we got the cocaine, and it was just a wild ride. Everything that we always dreamed it would be. And then we see that we're not Krishna. We can't handle it. We can't handle fame. We can't handle money. We can't handle multiple loving affairs. We can't. We are not built to handle it. When we try to take Krishna's role, we crash.
That's Krishna's position.
Krishna,
he does it well. He can be the center. He is the center,
and he does it with pure love. There's no selfishness in it.
For me to be the center, it's a huge struggle. I have to convince everybody, and that's difficult.
And then
I've been trying to convince Kastuba I'm the center for a long time. He just doesn't buy it.
The center.
It's like, no, you're not.
Yeah, Michael Jordan seemed like he was the center of the universe for a while there, right?
Yeah. Michael Jackson too.
Michael Jackson seemed like, but both lives of suffering, actually intense suffering. Jordan, Jackson. Ooh. Neither of them was the center.
Mara, it's time. What have we learned from this show?
Oh,
give us some wise information. Give us a goodie to take away with us.
Okay. Reprogram the impulsive mind.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Or impulsive mind. From Harrisburg.
Following your senses won't lead to real happiness.
Doesn't do it.
Nope.
Wake up and be inspired for your mission.
Okay.
Wake up
and live. A little Bob Marley for you this morning.
Okay.
Youth of Today, hello.
Did you have a song called "Wake Up and Live"?
Yes, we did.
Well, Bob Marley had it first. Yeah, he stole that from Bob Marley.
Ours became more popular than
I don't think so.
Within our circle, it did.
Well, okay. Good point, Raga. Good point. Within our circle, it did. Within our tiny circle, it was far more popular than Bob Marley in his massive circle.
All right, go on.
The challenges will keep coming.
The challenges will keep coming. They don't stop.
This is a depressing show today. Okay, go on. What else you got?
Your prayers are not meant for stuff.
No.
Enjoyment comes with suffering.
Oh my God. I want to.
Material enjoyment.
Yeah. It's getting more uplifting.
It's getting worse. Don't worry. You need to send these people off to the work.
Are you having a bad day here, Mara? Is it us or is it you?
Invest in your spiritual life.
Okay.
How about eat the raw bagel? Eat the raw bagel. Was that one of them?
Yeah, I was getting to that one. Thanks.
Oh, sorry. That was your big.
No. Happiness is our spiritual nature.
Okay. I like that. That's better.
And we're all in prison.
There you go.
That's it. That's it. Usually has a bigger bang at the end.
Well, you stole my eat the raw bagel.
Okay. Sorry about that. Eat the raw bagel, people. Thanks for everybody for joining us. And a real sad Tuesday.
It's not sad.
No, it's great. It's great news. Material world is suffering. Isn't that good news, everybody?
There's an alternative.
It is, but fortunately, we are spiritual beings. Hello?
That's right.
That's the message here. Right, Gus?
Okay.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us on this
being.
beautiful Tuesday. Tomorrow's Walk On Wednesday. You know what I want to get for Walk On Wednesday tomorrow? I want to get Don Foose.
Don Foose?
Goyal on the tie. I'm going to try to reach out to him today. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. I hope you join us at Super Soul Farm or in India. That'll be good. I want to thank all our patron people. Patreon people, check out Josh Kane. He's a great yoga teacher. He's opening up a studio called Gandiva Yoga. Isn't that a great name?
What's it called?
Gandiva.
Gandiva. I like the bow. Okay.
Like Arjuna's bow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matt Godden says Don Foose was a huge in his path to bhakti.
Okay.
All right, now I'm definitely gonna reach out to him. And thank all the Patreon members keeping our boat floating. That's what it takes to do. Keep this boat floating. You go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages. Give a monthly donation for the price of a latte. You can support us. It goes a long way. Thanks, everybody. Now it's time to make the kids breakfast and sing and dance.